Now, having documented the history and the examination and treated the patients and done my assessment and plan, I am now completely done with this patient. I am ready to leave the room, and so I'm going to click the Close Visit button, and that opens up the Close Visit window, which is going to facilitate the printing of requisitions and the sending of scripts electronically, as well as releasing the claim to be billed to the insurance. So in the upper left, let me begin there, and we have a code assist, which helps you to know the level at which it is appropriate to bill this code out. So as I change the decision making to moderate complexity, you can see that it's recommending a level 4 for me, so I'll go ahead and say, yeah, let's do that. I also want to say at this point that although Code Assist is there, and it's a very handy tool, in general, what we find is that you get the feel from the notes by looking at the notes, the completeness of the note, that it's documenting pretty thoroughly what you're doing, and you really are able to just tell by looking at that that it looks like a level 4. We have found that for practices that we've measured a good number of them, that prior to using the EMR, they started off with an average of about 20% of their visits were level 4s. That means if you exclude physicals, that about 80% of those were level 3s. And the reason for that, of course, is they're not coding based on what they're doing. They're coding based on what they're documenting, because we all understand that you do a lot more in the exam room than what you can document. But with a system like this, it captures all that for you very easily, very quickly, and so we have found that in a period of about 6 months of using the EMR, the coding practices went from about 20% level 4s up to 55% level 4s on average. Well, that's a significant amount. If you understand that the difference between a level 3 and a level 4 is anywhere between $30 and $45 per visit, that adds up real quickly over the course of a month. And of course, we understand that that's your overhead hasn't increased a bit. Your staff and all that it remains the same. So that's also a really powerful benefit to using the electronic medical record. Now, the system allows us to, at this point, to indicate that medication list was reconciled, or we reviewed things. If we wanted to say that we spent a significant amount of time counseling with the patient, we can indicate that. It's timing us. It tells us how long we were actually in the room with the patient. If we wanted to send a follow-up note to the nurse, for example, we want them to come in to do an EKG, we could indicate that here. Probably the best way to do that is actually just to order the EKG and have the system configured so that it knows to send that to the nurse. But we could also just free text a message and send that to the nurse now. At any point during the course of the visit, we could have also sent a message to the nurse. If we want to send a message at checkout, we can do that. Courtesy, no copay. We can have the checkout person call and schedule an appointment with a consultant if we want to. Certainly, one of the things we want to do is schedule a follow-up visit. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and not actually schedule it, but we're going to say we want a follow-up visit in 3 months. And once again, you see that the CPE is in red. That's because it's red over here in preventive care disease profile. So I'm going to go ahead and check that. And while we're talking about that, notice that the items that were in red now have turned to blue, most of them, and that's because for the labs, for example, because we've ordered them. So that it automatically updated the status, and the status is indicated by a color. So once those lab results come in electronically, the system's automatically going to update the status and change the color from blue to black. And then at the bottom, these are the types of things that we can print, and it's going to print whatever is applicable by default. So I'm going to go ahead and just and just click save. And then when I did that, it begins to release everything to go. So we've done metformin, and it's asking us. It noticed that the patient has a pharmacy, and it asks us if we want to send it electronically. I'm going to say yes. Let's send that electronically. And lisinopril, let's send that electronically. And Lipitor, let's send that electronically as well. And so that's all gone electronically. And then what we're viewing here in the screen will actually print out for you. So this is our lab requisition, a generic lab requisition, and there's the 4 labs that we ordered. And then there's a checkout slip that will print. And then visit summary, which is optional, but it is part of the meaningful use requirements. So this is actually a really neat option. You can see, besides it helping you to fulfill the requirements of meaningful use, it's also just generally a really good idea. Provide this to the patient, remind them of the medication changes, all the instructions that you gave them, and then ultimately when you want to see them again. Let's see if we can scroll up. So yeah, I'd like to see you again in 3 months for a complete physical. So that will print when you leave the exam room, and it will be there, lab requisition, all sitting there on the printer for you to sign them and give them to the patient. And then finally, we have our automated correspondence. It recognizes that this patient is seeing an endocrinologist, and you've indicated that you want this specialist to get an update on whenever you see the patient. And so it's going to do that for me. All I have to do is click OK. It's already pre-configured, and what it will do is it will take this note, and it'll use a template letter, and it's a user-definable template. But typically, the templates begin with an opening. Dear Dr. Smith, you'll be seeing my patient David Blackwell for diabetes, and below, please find a complete history and a copy of the most recent progress note. And then at that point, it'll just take this note in its entirety, put it right in that letter, and then there'll be a closing on that letter. Typically, if I can be of further assistance, please don't hesitate to call, that type of thing. And that's all automated. So that letter, just by me clicking that OK, that letter is going to be compiled. It actually waits. It waits for me to sign this note. And when I sign this note, it will trigger that letter, which is sitting in a queue. It'll trigger that to be sent by fax without me doing anything else. So that basically is the end of our job to treat this patient. And now we're going to pass it.